evening, and welcome once again to the Lotus Flower Podcast. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Pamela Robinson, and I bring you greetings on behalf of my handsome husband, Reverend Curtis L. Robinson Sr., my co host. The Lotus Flower Podcast aim is to educate, empower, and equip our listening audience with spiritually relevant, culturally uplifting educational topics. Our diverse discussions are centered around a variety of topics, such as Christian marriage, self empowerment, mental health wellness, social justice, and faith. The podcast allows for a diverse variety of voices to be exposed to the venue of podcasting and learn about content that they may never have known about. The Lotus Flower Podcast. It's the flower that blooms in adversity that is the greatest of them all. The lotus flower. That lotus flower actually blooms and blossoms under mud and mire and muck and even manure. It blooms and pushes its way up through that chaotic environment to become this beautiful pink and white flower. The lotus flower is likened to the lives of many of our podcast guests. Many of our guests have found themselves sometimes in situations that seemed as though they were difficult to the degree that they weren't going to be able to get out of that situation. However, because they were planted in the soil of the Holy Spirit, planted and rooted in Jesus, anchored in Him, they were able to bloom and blossom even in life's adverse situations. Bloom and blossom to the point where they came up out of that adverse situation and literally turned into this beautiful flower that's giving off aroma to everyone that comes in contact with them. What a blessing. Tonight, we have a person here that is truly exemplary of the lotus flower. However, before I introduced her, I want to let you know a little bit about our podcast demographics. The podcast audience is made up of affluent, educated millennials ages 25 and up. However, our targeted audience is African Americans, Hispanics, people of color, low to moderate income populations, single parenting households, and disenfranchised people. All adults are welcome to partake in the podcast. It doesn't matter the person's socioeconomic status, race, creed, educational background, religious affiliation, or lack thereof. As long as you have an interest in respectfully learning about African American culture, race, relationships, education, history, religion, and other topics, then all are welcome to the Lotus Flower Podcast. Our podcast is being sponsored tonight by Taio Ajenade, editor and founder of He Reigns magazine, Callie's Beauty Supply, Rock Dimensionals Consultants, and Jasmine's Fun Fashions. Be sure to seek out the services of our sponsored businesses. You'll be blessed. Tonight, our special guest is none other than Takara Cannon. Takara Cannon. I want you to go ahead and type that in the chat because you'll want to remember that name, Takara Cannon. Takara Cannon is a delegate in the Ms. Full Figured U.S.A Michigan Pageant that will take place on April 30th, 2022 in Detroit, Michigan. She is also a master's student focusing in on healthcare leadership at Western Governors University. Takara works as a financial navigator in one of Kalamazoo, Michigan's hospital's cancer center settings. She is a mother of a beautiful 12-year-old daughter. Her hometown is Grand Ledge, Michigan. She's also an alma mater of Western Michigan University. Her personal and professional goals are to graduate with her master's in healthcare leadership. And as a professional, she wants to become a winner in the Miss Full Figure USA competition. Her hobbies are being in theater, spending time traveling with her daughter, and spending time traveling with her significant others. She has been a patient advocate for over the past 7 years, a position in which she highly enjoys. Her aspirations are to help others find their way around working through finances, particularly finances when it has to do with healthcare and dealing with the healthcare industry. Takara professional experience consists of being a pharmacy technician, a patient care advocate, and a patient financial navigator. Takara is at this time raising funds for her Miss Full Figure competition, once again, that will take place on April 30th in Detroit, Michigan. I will let her tell you how you can donate funds toward her competition. I know that she's about halfway there with her goal, but she could always use your support. Once again, our featured guest this evening is none other than my friend, my sister in the Lord, Ms. Takara Cannon. Welcome.
Hi, good afternoon and evening. Hi, Dr. Robinson. Thank you so much for having me on this beautiful podcast. I really enjoyed your introduction, and I want to say hello to all the listeners out there.
Thank you. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to the Lotus Flower podcast. And before we
Thank
get
you.
started, can you tell our listening audience how they might be able to, first of all, tell them a little bit about what the Miss Full Figure competition is, and then tell them how they can support you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Miss Full Figured USA was founded in 1989. Teresa Randolph is the CEO of the brand. She had looked through back in the 80s and saw that there was a lot of pageants, but they were for smaller sized individuals. And I think she really wanted to find her way into making a brand for people who were from size 12 and up. So there was no weight limit or size limit in those pageants. So she wanted to make a brand of her own.
Okay.
And since then, the pageant has been running and running smoothly. Michigan is this is our second year in having their own division. They originally started in 2018, but it was relaunched in 2020. So this is our second year of having a reigning Michigan queen, and so it's a very, very nice, very, very beautiful program that they've put on with this pageantry. A lot of the winners have went on to become plus size models or ambassadors for different, companies and different things. So it brings a lot of good positivity out there for all shapes and sizes of women, colors
That's,
included.
that's beautiful. And how
Mhm.
did you become aware that that pageant even existed? And then how did you become involved in it?
Sure. So last year I was able to sit and watch the pageant. The director had reached out to me on becoming auditioning for it last year, and I had went and looked into a workshop and listened to like what it brings, but I wasn't at that time able or felt just confident just yet to sign up for the actual, to be in that competition last year. I was able
Mm-hmm.
to at least go see the actual pageant. This was obviously their second. That was actually their first one. 2020, of course, we all know COVID happened, so they weren't able to completely have their pageant that first year. They opened up and relaunched themselves. So last year was that in itself too. So I was able to see that, understand a little bit more, because when the director reached out to me to see if I was interested, I was really overwhelmed because I was like, I don't know anything about pageantry. I've never done anything of some sort. So I was really very overwhelmed when she asked me, but I was like, okay, let me see what it's about. And after I
Okay.
watched and with all grace and poise of all the women that got up there and saw how they just, was able to just be free and show off their talents and skills and personalities. It
Mm-hmm.
was something that I was like, maybe I can try this out. And it has been a journey.
Oh, great, good.
Mhm.
And I see that you're wearing a tiara that you're wearing your
My sash.
this
Yes, ma'am.
yes
Yep, this is my
today.
sash. It literally says Miss Full Figured. I know you can't see the rest of it with the camera, but USA Michigan contestant for
Okay.
2022. So everything that's on there is what I have to make sure I say when I say the brand. So it helps me
Hmm.
remember the exact
Okay.
brand so I don't mess up and make sure I say it correctly as well too. So yes. So when I have my sash on, I have to make sure that I'm representing the brand very well and that I'm behaving and being part of the beauty queen aspect, if you will. So it's a
Now, will
very
you be
honor to
wearing
wear
one of
this.
these?
Yes, I'll be wearing. Hopefully, when they give me that winning title, I would love to have that on. I will
Yes.
definitely the crowns that I've been able to see from past
Mhm.
pageants, and it's beautiful. I
Oh,
would love to take home that. And I'm in three categories separate from winning the actual title as Miss Full Figured. So
mm-hmm.
hopefully, in those three categories, I'll be able to have separate tiaras that I'll win as well too, or separate crowns, if
Oh,
you will too.
beautiful. So
Yes,
tonight we're going to claim in the
claim
name of
that
Jesus
crown.
that
Yes.
you're going to have this beautiful crown.
Amen.
And when you get your beautiful crown, you're going
Mm-hmm.
to get your beautiful jewels.
Oh, yes. Look at that. That's
Uh,
gorgeous. Beautiful jewels.
it's gorgeous, just like you are,
Yes. Thank
full
you.
of precious jewels. Your life,
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
since I've known you, has just been precious. Still, just a precious young lady,
Thank
just
you
full
so
of love. Thank
much.
you so much for all
I
you
try to
do
give
for
it to
others. And
inside and out.
also, yes, and I want you
Mm-hmm.
to tell us, how can we support you financially? Because it costs
Sure.
money. It's not free.
Yes.
How can we
Definitely,
support
there's fees. Absolutely, we have fees. I have responsibilities for, supporting my support person that's going to be back with me in stage. I have to stay in a hotel, obviously, because the pageant will be serviced and hosted at a hotel. So I'll have to have room fees, and I've got gown fees. I've got alteration fees. I've got fees that's for a fee. So I have PayPal. I have Venmo. I have Zelle. I have all of the electronic pays. I also
Okay.
have a GoFundMe as well. So I can type it in the chat. I can send a link in the chat, whatever is easiest.
Why don't you send a link in
Okay.
the chat, type
Okay.
it in the chat, and then I will
Sure.
include it in the description of the podcast that will
Okay.
air on YouTube.
Okay.
I'd
Wonderful.
say over 3,000 plus people,
Perfect.
Takara, will
Hmm.
actually see that.
Oh,
And
that's
we'll put
awesome.
it on our audio platforms as well, Google Podcasts, Reason Podcasts. So it'll
Perfect.
stream there. And we want to be a blessing to you.
Okay, thank
We
you.
do.
Yes, I
We
definitely,
love
the GoFundMe, you could obviously see how far and how much I've raised, and everything's
you.
definitely descriptive in that, in the actual fundraiser that I made. So I would definitely make sure I put that in the chat before this podcast ends. And I would love any support, even if you think, hey, I might be in Detroit on April 30th. I would love to see that
Mhm.
pageant. I have to sell tickets, and if I can have someone in support going, yes, then
Okay.
it would mean so much too. So yes.
Oh, good. So we can come
Mhm.
down and support you in the audience?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh,
I still have
boy.
13 tickets remaining that's in my name,
Mhm.
but they still have tickets that's for general admission. But I'm
Okay.
supposed to sell the actual 15 tickets, and I have 13 remaining that I'm still trying to push to see who's all coming. And
Mhm.
people like to wait till last minute, which is fine. But at the end of the pageant, I'd like to know how many people actually clicked my
Yeah.
name to say, "Yep, we're here to support Takara." So
Well, you go ahead and type that
absolutely,
in the chat as well. And then
Yes,
make sure I get
absolutely.
that information as well, so
I surely
we
will.
can get those tickets flying off out of your hands like hotcakes.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
It's hard because, with us being in Kalamazoo and then the pageants in Detroit, a lot of my people are like, oh, we're coming. What day? And I'm like, it's Saturday. They're like, oh, great, I'm off. And I'm like, it's in Detroit. They're like, okay, let me see what I can do because I have to either work the next day or I have something else going on. And okay,
Yes.
so I'm
Mhm.
still very, very not discouraged. I'm very positive, and what
Oh.
will happen will happen.
Mhm.
So I will still be able to go up there with a smile and beauty and grace. So I'm all ready
Yes,
for
you will, and
it.
that you are the epitome of.
Thank
I
you.
also, before we move into our topic tonight,
Sure.
would like for you to share with us a little bit about your theater involvement. We
Oh,
don't want to leave
sure.
that out. Tell us a little bit
Yes,
about
yes.
you're in the theater, you're actress, I know.
Oh, yes, yep. So this is my second show that I was able to do. In 2020, I did Chicago with Cinder Stage Theater. It was a beautiful first time for anything type of thing that I signed up for. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was nervous at the auditions,
Mhm.
and I
Mhm.
didn't audition for a specific role. I just was like, yes, let me just try this out. I don't know what to expect, but here we go. And
Okay.
I got on the stage and I got in part of the group and the family, and how wonderful that theater production is. The company, they're like, if you audition for the show, we will add you into the show, like no ifs ands or
Oh,
buts.
good.
So I didn't
Mhm.
have any huge role. I didn't have anything that made me feel like, oh guys, wait for me. I had one little
Mhm.
line. I loved it. I loved enjoying like the energy from the crowds, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay. That happened the end of February, and then literally what, 2 weeks later, the whole world shut down. So we were sad. We were looking forward to doing Beauty and the Beast in the fall, in
Oh,
the
gee.
summer. The whole world just shut down on us.
You
So
said
it
the
was
whole world
really,
shut down. You're right.
it did. They shut down everything on us. So we knew we couldn't do, of course, anything else. And theater was kind of at a standstill all around the world. So
Okay.
we were like, okay, well, there it is. And then recently, obviously last end of last year, they put up that they were going to do Sister Act, and I was like, okay, I have the pageant going on. I'm in school. But I realized that the production that was had put on for Chicago was the same
Mhm.
production crew that was doing for Sister Act. So I was like, oh, I haven't seen my friends in over 2 years. Let's do it.
Mhm.
And when I went in for auditions, you have to fill out an application. I just said something minor, nothing, no big role. I just want to be a part of the crew and do everything that I did before. And so
Okay.
they had me audition for TJ, and I hadn't watched. I So the musical and the movie is a little bit different. The movie obviously has Whoopi Goldberg and a couple maybe extra stars in there in the beginning. I remember seeing some very well known Black women stars. I was like, yeah. And
Okay.
of course, with the whole movie and how it all goes about, it's the same timeline as a musical, but of course, for copyright reasons, they could not mimic the whole movie like how they did,
Mhm.
for a musical. So some
Right.
things were changed. So I did not know who TJ was. I was like, I don't remember seeing a TJ in the show, but fine.
Okay.
So they had me
Mhm.
read for TJ. I went ahead and came back for callbacks for TJ or a thug, and I was like, okay.
Okay.
And then once I learned that I had got casted for TJ, I went ahead and looked through the script, and I was like, I think TJ's a guy,
Okay.
which was very, very interesting. Here I am trying to, on one side, trying to be a beauty queen, if you will, a pageant queen,
Yes.
and now I'm casted to be an actual a man. And
Okay.
I had so much fun. TJ was literally, it had little teeny little one-liners in the show that really
Yes.
just everybody
Mhm.
would laugh, and I didn't think people would laugh because when we rehearsed, and it was nobody really in the with us watching us rehearse. I was like, well, this is
Mhm.
probably going to be silly and nobody's going to get my little jokes I say. And
Yes.
it was wonderful. They had me in a full beard here, a glued on beard, a curly
Oh,
fro. I had an
my.
all men's jacket, a button up. Actually, my significant other that had his button up on,
Yes.
and some dress pants and some men's dress shoes, all black. And I was in the 70s as TJ, and I
Good for
enjoyed it.
you.
We all had a blast, a whole good time. I know they're going to be doing Beauty and the Beast in the summer, so I
Mhm.
hope to, if things have slowed down, join them in that production as well too. So, yes,
Good
so
for you. Good
thank
for
you.
you. Yes. I've seen some pictures on Facebook, your
Hmm.
page
Hmm.
with your production, and it was really very
Oh,
intriguing.
it was so much fun.
Ye
And I really,
yes.
even after the shows, we put on 4 shows, excuse
Mhm.
me, Friday, two on
Mhm.
Saturday, and one on Sunday. And after
Mhm.
every show, like people came up to me and was like, "Oh, you were just great," and I was like, "Oh my
Oh,
gosh!"
good.
I was singing, I was dancing, I was having my own dialogue, so I really enjoyed that. I would do it
Oh,
again.
good.
I took a nice part of TJ. It's still in my heart.
Yeah,
Yes.
good for you. Good for
Thank you.
you. Well, thanks for sharing that with
Yeah.
us. And once again, before we move into our topic tonight, I want our
Hmm.
audience to be sure to support
Yes.
Takara
Thank
in the
you.
Miss Full Figure USA of Michigan on
Yes.
April 30th in Detroit, Michigan. She will be in the pageant.
Yes.
I
And
will
I will for
type
sure.
in the
Hmm.
description how
Hmm.
you can support her
Yes.
financially.
Yes.
Also, we're claiming that she's
Yes.
going to get this
Yes. The jewels in the
that
crown. That's right.
figure and jewels.
And jewels. Yes.
That's right. Okay. Now we're
Thank
going to move on
you.
over into our topic. Our topic
Yeah.
for tonight's episode is financial toxicity
Hmm.
in healthcare.
Hmm.
And we're going to have Takara kind of explain to us why you chose that particular topic and what does it actually mean to have financial toxicity in healthcare.
Sure. I chose that title because I actually am going to use it for my platform for the actual pageant itself too. It's
Okay.
something that I've been doing for a very long time with financial advocacy, like I said, and being a navigator. A lot of times you get sick, you get put on a whole bunch of stuff, or you're in the hospital, and medical
Okay.
debt just piles up. That's one of the I love my job, but most of my job and deals with medical like debt and how the health system just you just feel like you walk into a building and you're going to be a walking money sign, if you will.
Oh
And a lot of
my.
times your health going kind of deteriorates because you're like, I don't want to go to the doctor. That's going to cost me hundreds of dollars. I don't even have that in my bank account. Why would I go and provide that to someone where I can't even get it for myself? So
Right.
for me, financial toxicity, I've learned more and more as I went through some trainings and just kind of saw it overflow in healthcare is because you end up spending a lot of money and sometimes you can save yourself money or find some programs that can help you so that you don't have to feel like you are buried in medical debt. So
Mhm.
it's something that I really enjoy helping patients, especially in a
Mhm.
cancer center setting. A lot of
Mhm.
times, patients are coming to me saying, "Well, should I pull out my 401k? I don't know how I'm going to afford a treatment. I don't know if I'm going to, be able to support my family's going to be able to support off of what I've saved up all of my life, and now I found out I had cancer. So
Mhm.
it brings a lot of burden, and a lot of times there's just you don't realize that there's resources and companies out there that will give you some resources, so that you can
Mhm.
continue on with getting your treatments and your therapies that you need. So, yes,
So what does your role entail
sure. So
as
as
a
yeah,
financial
yeah,
person?
as a financial navigator, I help patients get access to their to insurance. Like sometimes patients come in, they don't realize they qualify for Medicaid, or during certain times of the year, they can enroll into what's called Marketplace or Affordable Care Act. There's insurance that with the Obamacare and how there's different laws and stuff passed now with new administration, patients can
Mhm.
have access to insurance. Through those, not just have worrying about like I don't have a job, like so I don't have an employer that's going to give me anything, and whatever my benefit, how can I get benefits.
Mhm.
And then learning about Medicare and Medicaid, of course, like I've said. So I help patients get access to insurance. I help patients get access to copay cards if they have the
Mhm.
right type of insurance that allow that. There's a lot of times where your insurance will say, we will charge you $4,000 for this infusion. And come to find out, there's a copay card that says, hey, we'll give you $30,000 and you only have
Oh,
to
good.
pay $25 of that to 4,000
Oh,
that the
good.
insurance is trying to make you pay. There's
Mhm.
grants out there. And of course, what I normally handle is at the cancer center. So it's based off of cancer diagnosis, of course. But there's
Mhm.
grants out there and foundations that want to support patients who are going through a certain diagnosis stage of cancer. So
Mhm.
finding those resources for those patients are always huge and plus because like I said, they thought, okay, I know my insurance tells me I have to pay $15,000 a year. I
Mhm.
don't have it, but how am I going to pay? And I'm like, hey, there's a copay card, or hey, there's a grant that can pick up that. And then also just trying to help them with financial assistance, maybe at the hospitals that they go through, or different. Half the time you start at one hospital, you got to go to a special person and another location and things like that. And there's so many
Mhm.
beautiful like financial assistance based off your income, of course, that are
Mhm.
available. So literally I'm navigating financially how I can help patients save money and not feel so overwhelmed and burdened with their health expenses.
Well, tell me, how do you handle the day in and day out, knowing that you are helping people that are challenged with a cancer diagnosis, some of them in their end stages, and you're
Yeah.
navigating the system for them. And there are times that you may not be able to meet their needs and help them. And
Mhm.
there are times that women might come to you all broken and
Yeah.
sad and in disarray, and you
Yeah.
have to see this day in and day out. Well, how do you, as a woman,
Mhm.
deal with that type of emotional pressure that I'm sure you see quite
Yeah.
regularly?
Yeah, it's really hard. I've gotten extremely close to some patients. Some patients come in and they've given me flowers and chocolates and candy just for thanking you. I mean, I know if somebody told me, yes, you have a bill for $4,000, but I can save you at least $2,000 to $3,000 of that bill, I would want to
Mhm.
kiss them, hug them, and take them off
Yeah.
on a trip somewhere. And usually, my patients at the cancer center, they are like beyond grateful, crying and I
Oh,
I don't want to say I'm numb to it because I've been doing it for so long, but it literally is
mhm.
second nature for me because I can see
Okay.
something that, oh yeah, there's something available for you. Let me get you signed up. And I'm like, hey,
Mhm.
you got $15,000 to use to the cost of your treatment or get this and that back. And they're crying and bawling. And
Oh,
I
good.
forget that like this is a big deal, but because I'm like, I'm just doing my job. Like if you
Okay.
went to walk, went to pick up food at McDonald's and they're handing you your burger, you're not gonna be start crying. I have to
Right.
remember this is a big deal, like yes, I literally found something for you that's not going to have you have to worry about selling your house or car or not eating
Mhm.
for the month. So I
Yes.
try my best not to feel as sensitive, but very when they are thanking me and praising me and telling me I did a good job, I don't like to be like, yes, tell me more. I'm just like, no,
That's
no,
right.
I did what I did and this is what I do, so it's okay. But then I have to take
Yes.
another second to be like, okay, let them give me the gratitude, like experience, express their gratitude for me, and it's because they're
Mhm.
coming from their genuine heart too. Of course,
That's
that's the
right.
good side of it. The bad side is, yes, I'll have cases where, yeah, I've tried everything. Their bills are in debt. They could be $200,000 in debt, and I literally have been trying for a long time to get them some relief, some type of something, and
Mhm.
it just doesn't go the way that I wish it would. I've
Yes.
emailed, I've sent messages out, I've asked for help, I've tried to figure
Mhm.
out how I can crack this code, and things
Mhm.
don't go the way that I want them to. I feel
Mhm.
defeated, and of course, the patient gets a little bit more stressed out. But I have to
Yes.
just be like, I literally am trying, and I'm still trying for you. I'm not giving
Mhm.
any false promises or false hope, but I want you to
Mhm.
know that I'm still trying my best to
I
help
see.
you so you don't have to be as overwhelmed, even though this whole process is overwhelming. Um,
Yes.
as an empath, like I know my heart, like it hurts a lot, and like I
Yes.
care a lot, which
Yes.
sometimes, as a woman, you put all of all your emotion into something, and you want,
That's
the
right.
results, so you get very emotional about it. But I try
Mhm.
just to, when I leave out of work, just shake it off because I know there'll be another day with more problems and more people coming to me, and
Mhm.
I try my best to not take it home with me. Sometimes and some days I'll check check in and see that the patient who just literally came in my office and gave me flowers and a hug has unfortunately passed on, and it hurts.
Mhm.
Like I'm like, wow,
Mhm.
I just saw her. We were
Yes.
just giggling. So
Right.
it's hard. It is very hard, but it's a rewarding job in itself too. So
So how does your faith help you through those challenging
sure,
situations?
sure. I try my best to be very neutral at work because you never know what everyone's religious background is. But oftentimes I'll have either a spouse come in and sit with me while their spouse is upstairs getting an infusion, or they just come in because they're the ones that's obviously trying to run around because their spouse is sick. And
Mhm.
they'll share their religious beliefs. And myself,
Mhm.
I do identify as being a Christian. So sometimes I'll
Mhm.
hear like, well, God's in control. And if I feel
Mhm.
like they're in the moment and to talk about God and just talk about how they're feeling about everything, then we
Mhm.
literally will have about a 30-minute discussion about how just how good God is and how that is keeping them from going and to continue going on, excuse me, and that it's helping them find their center and their ground. So people will tell me that they're angry at God for, either getting their husband with having a disease, or having cancer, or how they're upset because they got diagnosed with cancer and they felt like they were doing everything right. But
Hmm.
I try my best that, if I can say silent prayers or just keep it in my heart that I'm praying about for them. I try my best to make sure that if I do it privately, cool. But if they are sharing that they're upset and they're Christian and they have issues that they're feeling, and if we want to say a prayer, hey, let's do it. I could do it,
Yes.
whatever,
Hmm.
whatever it is that patients need.
So you wait until they open that door,
I
though,
try to,
for
yep,
you.
yeah. I just
Yes.
don't want anybody to be like,
Hmm.
she was pushing, and I don't
Yes.
want anybody to ever feel that they were being forced to talk
Mhm.
about God for in my office.
Yes. Do you ever feel as though this job could actually be your calling, or some sort of ministry that the Lord has actually called you into, even though it's in a secular environment?
I think so. I really, really enjoy doing my job. I don't, other than the actual stress of the work, I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy making patients laugh because they've just gotten chemo or they just got told really bad news, upstairs where we have our doctors go meet with them, and I'm on the bottom floor and they came to see me and I'm like, hey, I just saved you $4,000. Smile, we'll giggle.
Yeah.
It makes
Mhm.
me feel good. I enjoy making patients laugh. I enjoy making people
Okay.
laugh and smile,
Mhm.
even if it's
I
just me
see.
being silly. So I
Yes.
do. Sometimes I do feel like I'm right where I belong. Of course, like
Okay.
I said, there's just little things that I can't control, and if with any, it doesn't matter if I was doing this on my own or with the company. That makes me just be like, oh, I don't know, man. Sometimes I
Yeah.
don't know if I can keep doing this.
Yes.
I want all yeses for everything, and I know it. Sometimes it just doesn't go that way, but I
I
do.
know when I That's good. I know when I met you, you
Mhm.
were doing something else. It was
Mhm.
in healthcare, but it
Yep.
definitely wasn't at the place where you are now.
No, yeah.
And,
Mhm.
so I follow you on Facebook, believe it or not. So as I was following you on Facebook, I said, "Oh, she got a new job." And
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah.
happy for you that to
Me
learn that,
too.
you're doing what you're doing. I think it said on your bio it's been over 7 years. Is that
Been
right?
over 7 years. This role has been technically it's been 2 to 3 years. We had a transition, and so like who I work for versus where I'm at now, the name changed and everything. But
Mhm.
yeah, I've been doing like advocacy work since 2015, being a
Oh, good.
financial
Mhm.
patient care advocate at one point, which is doing literally finding copay cards and grants for patients who had
Mhm.
specialty diseases. So
Uh-huh.
now I just moved over to being an oncology side, which is more targeted, but there's still so much resources out there too. So yeah,
Well,
it's been for sure 7 years.
wonderful. When you
Hmm.
talked a little bit about, finding copay cards, tell us
Hmm.
what does that mean by finding copay cards, and how do you go about helping a person find a
Sure.
copay card?
Yeah. So a lot of times manufacturers will have medications or well, you'll be on a medication from a big manufacturer. Not to
Okay.
not drop names or anything, but let's say Pfizer, because there's nothing wrong to say anything about Pfizer. Pfizer
Okay.
has many medications that they service. If you have commercial insurance, meaning that, like I said in the beginning, you have commercial insurance through your employer or you signed up
Mhm.
for the healthcare, the marketplace that's online that you can get on, insurance right away. Those
Mhm.
type of insurance plans, you can use a copay card for whatever the medication is. A lot of times they have medication copay cards that'll bring your cost down to $0, $5, $10,
Mhm.
and that means that you bill your insurance. Your insurance says we will charge you $300 for this medication, which
Mhm.
sounds ridiculous, but it is the norm sometimes for some of the most popular needed medications to live daily on anything. So
Mhm.
the copay card will help pick up that cost. You bill your insurance, the copay card picks up that cost, and then
Mhm.
you're leaving out the pharmacy with $0 to pay versus
Mhm.
$300 to pay.
Oh, good.
That happens at the pharmacy side, and it also happens
Mhm.
on the medical side.
Mhm.
Same thing. You can be to be taking an infusion or an injectable that your doctor wants
Mhm.
you to come in and see every 2 months, 3 months. There's certain medications that have copay cards signed up just like that. Whatever the
Mhm.
insurance kicks back and says, you're responsible for, like I said
Mhm.
earlier, $3 or $4,000 from the drug that you received.
Mhm.
Then the copay card will say, "Oh no, we'll pay for that. We'll reimburse that patient, or we'll pick up the cost that they're responsible for," and that helps bring down A big deal. It helps bring down the
Can it be
cost a lot.
ongoing? So can people
Yeah.
get like numerous of copay cards or only one or?
Yeah, so a lot of times the copay card, excuse me, will have a max on how much benefits you can use for the calendar year.
Mhm,
Usually that you don't max out on that unless your insurance plan is just, saying, well, we will only cover this amount. And I'm sorry. Sometimes
mhm,
you can max out on it. But a lot of
mhm.
times, a lot of the manufacturers out there are very generous with how much benefits you can use with a copay card. So you usually shouldn't max out on using it. It's always up to your insurance company how much they want to, of course, charge you for each time you come and get, your medication, either on the
Mhm.
fusion side or the pharmacy side. But no,
Yes.
they usually give you, like, sometimes it's for the fusion side. Usually it's like $20,000,
Oh
$30,000 to use for the
my.
whole year. Then it
Oh
resets.
my.
So it's not like you use it and that's it.
Then it
You reset.
resets.
So
Good.
it's very
That's a
nice. Yep.
blessing. That is a
hmm
blessing. The thing is that, for me, sitting here, I wasn't aware of that,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna say pardon my ignorance, okay? Because
Yeah, sure.
I was sitting here thinking that, and I've always thought, if the person had, even if they were a person that had, state insurance such as Medicare or
hmm
Medicaid, without having a private insurance like Blue Cross Blue Shield or
hmm
Aetna, I
hmm
I I just assumed that those insurance plans, if they covered cancer care, that they would cover it all in full. But
Oh,
are
sure.
you saying that those plans don't cover the cost of all of the treatment in full? And is that why
So
they need a copay card?
usually on the commercial. So there's commercial. There's also Medicare and Medicaid that we could talk about as well too. But with Medicare and Medicaid, those are two different programs. Medicaid, yes, what you were thinking, how you weren't being ignorant at all. Medicaid, they usually will pick up just about anything and maybe have a small fee, sometimes $0, sometimes $1, to cover
Mhm.
the treatments and costs and things like that too.
Okay.
But with commercial plans, they give you a set limit on how much they want you to pay, out of pocket for your health care across the board, and then you're
Mhm.
responsible for paying the rest of it.
Okay.
Medicare is the same way too, but it gets um, a little bit more. That's the word I want to use. It's a little bit more not difficult, but it's harder to navigate with Medicare because they will not let you use copay cards. It's like some
Mhm.
federal and state law that will not allow patients to use copay cards with Medicare. So it makes it
I
a little
see.
bit harder.
Mhm.
hmm
I see. And are those cards, those plans already set up and you just reach out to those particular entities or
Yeah, so they're
have
already
you?
set up. And usually the patient has to either authorize to be a part of their program for the copay
Okay.
card, sign paperwork. Sometimes you just go
Mhm.
online and say, I authorize myself to be, to utilize your copay card. So the patient
Mhm.
has to definitely be knowing that they're signed up for the copay card. And then
Mhm.
once they get the consent to, use the copay card from the manufacturer, vice versa, if you will, then yep, it's already there. They're already I don't have to do much work other than say, "Do you want me to sign you up?" And patients usually are shaking their head almost to the fact that their neck's about to break to say, "Yes, sign me
Okay.
up." I don't want to pay $5,000 this for this infusion. So
Oh,
yeah.
good.
hmm
Good. And tell us a little bit about how would one learn about assistance through manufactured medications, the
Oh, sure.
manufacturer themselves, and how is that
Yeah.
different from a copay card?
Most likely. So a lot of times I don't want to get too technical because I don't want to make any confusions, but a lot
Mm.
of times there's a medication that's a brand name medication, then there's a
Mhm.
medication that's a generic medication. And what
Mhm.
brand just means is that there's like a manufacturer like Pfizer that is manufacturing that medication versus anybody can take care of that medication as a generic medication. So a lot of
Mhm.
times if you find out what medication you're on and you're saying, "Oh, I think if I Google this medication is made by Pfizer. This medication is made by Novartis." You can look
Mhm.
online, you could type in the medication online, and then you'll see your drug there. And then there's so much resources on the website of that medication you're on.
Mm, nice.
It's really not hard to do, but sometimes when you hear, you have cancer and I'm going to put you on these three medications and you'll start
Mhm.
them when you get them at the pharmacy. Your brain doesn't think, oh, is it going to be, how much is it going to be, of course, but is there
Right.
resources available for me?
Right.
So yeah, so if you go online and say like, okay, I'm on, which it's hard to say a medication without being like, no, because of the pharmacy technician background that I have. But I'm on this medication. What is that medication? Oh,
Mhm.
it's made by Novartis. Oh, Novartis has a copay card that gives it to me for $20, $25. I can have this
Mhm.
medication. So
Mhm.
it's that's usually how I can be able to find them too. I mean, I have, with me working and it being my job, I have different search engines and different things that I can plug in and find the
Mhm.
information a little bit quicker, of course. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's something that any patient can do for themselves. But it's just like I said, it's overwhelming when you're like,
Yeah.
well, I went to the pharmacy and it was $250 and I need to get it because they said if I don't take it every day, I'm not gonna make it every day, you know. So
Right,
yeah.
exactly. And I
Hmm.
would imagine it could be quite overwhelming. They
Of
already
course.
are going through a situation
Of
where
course.
of trying to fight that cancer and
Yes.
whatnot. And so
Yes.
there's another thing that we like to talk about also is
Hmm.
how learning about the financial assistance through the hospital
Oh,
itself.
sure.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah. So a
tell us
lot
a
of
little bit about
most of
that.
the times, yeah, absolutely. Most of the times, the hospital has a financial assistance application that you could complete. Um,
Mhm,
in particular, with my patients that I see a lot, they either went to the emergency room for something, which is an
mhm,
extra bill, and then they had to be seen by specialists in the emergency room, which was a bill. Then they had to get
mhm,
testing done while they're in the emergency room, which was a bill. And then they got
mhm,
enrolled in inpatient in the hospital, which is another bill, which isn't cheap. And that stuff adds up. A lot of times when I see patients and they're starting their first round of their treatment, they've already racked up, if the insurance hasn't paid, they've already racked up almost $100,000 in costs.
right.
And if they are overwhelmed already and now they're got to learn about treatment, they're worried about, I don't know how I'm going to keep going with treatment if I already have $45,000 in debt already. So
Mhm.
the financial assistance applications through the hospital is based off your income. It's something called a federal poverty level that is
Yes, yes.
used, that helps, justify
Mhm.
where your income meets. And if you
Yes.
fall within, whatever percentage they have, they can give you a discount on your services, or you can get your services for free. But that
Mhm.
means even if you have insurance, or if you don't have insurance, after you do all the requirements they want you to do for the application, you can feel a little bit better to know that your income might meet where you can get, maybe 70% off, and it helps out. So you don't have
Mhm.
to, I mean, it's still a lot to look at a bill for, $45,000, which I hope nobody gets. But at
Yeah.
least you can say, well, I know I don't have insurance, but I know that, I could possibly get discounted services from what I already have wrapped up. So
And
it's a
that's
very
good to
nice.
know, and it's good to
Mhm.
know that that help is available from different angles that
Yes,
you
for
told
sure.
us about tonight.
Yes,
And I
for sure.
know that it definitely has to bring a lot of peace and solace to the people
Hmm.
that you're dealing with day in and day
Hmm.
out with this
Hmm.
situation. Now, are there several people that work in your role, or is it just one of you, or how's
Oh,
that
sure.
work?
In my current role, in my current position, like where I'm at now, there's just two of us. But I came from, when we had a transition, there were six of us. So we all kind of had our own niche that we would do that would say, oh, I handle this side, or I handle this patients, or and things like that. So yeah, right now there's just two of us, that's trying our best to capture every patient that wants to talk to us or sit down and understand their insurance or understand, what assistance they can find. Yep, we
Mhm.
try our best. Right now, technically, there's only one of me because my my counterpart's on maternity leave. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm one of two, and I'm trying my best to rock out the show.
Oh, good. I'm sure you're doing
Yeah.
a good job holding down the fort.
Well,
I
hopefully somebody
am.
else is holding it down
Yeah.
this week since I'm not there. But yes, I try my I try my best to.
And, tell me, when you're away from work, you have a week
Yeah.
off and you have your time off or whatnot, or things going on with your little one, do
Hmm.
you ever think, "Well, I wonder what's going on at work. I think I should be there. I wanna be there to help
Sometimes,
out,"
sometimes, and
or
it's
do you shut it
mostly.
off?
Yeah, I tried my best to. If I know for sure I left out of the job, out of my work, out of my office, and I'm like, oh, okay, I got about this many things I'm going to do tomorrow morning. Sometimes it's hard for my brain to shut off because I'm like, get in there, grab the paperwork, get in there, go see doctor, go in there, make sure you get there early so you can go see the patient. She's going to be in her infusion. So
Yes.
I try to shut it off. I sometimes will play a game or try to just do something that turns my brain off because all day at work I'm literally using my brain to think ahead or think or problem solve, and so I
Mhm,
have to sometimes be like, okay, I'm gonna watch my favorite show or play my favorite
mhm,
game so I can detach from the world because it's a
mhm,
lot of brain power and it's sometimes a lot of emotional
Yeah,
emotional power too. So
I
if
could
I
only
can
imagine.
refresh and or pray or just kind of meditate a little bit so I can get that get the bad vibes or like, overwhelmness off of my heart and mind, then yes.
I would imagine when you're acting,
Yeah.
that's a form of therapy or release for
Oh
you.
my gosh,
Yeah.
yes. I feel like in with the theater community and like the thespians out there, they all would understand that you can just be yourself and everybody's just the same silly, goofy person who just really
Mhm.
enjoys just putting on a show for somebody, if you will. So yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. It really was a release for me. And that's one of the reasons why I did it, because I was like, I really don't know how I'm gonna put that in my schedule. We had rehearsals 6 to 9, Monday through Friday,
Oh,
and
my.
then like when it got closer to the show, we ended up having what's called Tech Week. So from Sunday to Sunday, from the week of the show, I was rehearsing all day. And
My.
so it left no time for my other things, and things are kind of piling up. And of course, dishes and laundry, and feeling like I've become a human being sometimes is kind of piling up. But once I got on the stage, I was like, okay, like I remember why why I decided to sign up for this.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Hmm.
Now, here on your bio, it says that you are a master's student focusing in healthcare leadership.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit about what it is and what do you expect to do with that degree when you do graduate, Takara?
Sure. I haven't actually finished really thinking it through of where I want it to go. I'm hoping that maybe I'll find my purpose and my destiny through this program, and of course seeing where God wants to take me.
Mhm,
But I know for sure I would like to be an agent of change in a management system, if you will. If it's where I
mhm,
currently work at, because it's a big system, I would
mhm,
love to maybe move on up and kind of get my hands dirty a little bit more and things that
mhm,
I can change ahead of time, so
mhm.
that it doesn't become a problem, and a fire and
I
everyone's trying to
see.
put the fire out at the wrong time.
Yes.
So I'm still trying to use this program to kind of see how I would like to do. Would it be me maybe creating my own position, and after working at where I'm at, possibly I would love that to say,
Mhm,
hey, I think we need a manager over this department. Of course, that's
mhm.
going to take a lot of legwork, and of course, it's going to have to be a lot of data that I could present. But with this
Yes.
program, I'm learning, how to create processes and changes so that it could be shown that it's needed, like a process is needed because this is what's going on. So
Mhm.
yeah, i'm
That's
still
good.
i'm still trying to dig and see where I want to take this, but it sounds like a,
Mhm,
a wonderful opportunity to learn more knowledge and how to become an effective leader and all overall. Maybe not for sure in healthcare because that's what my focus is, but it's
mhm.
definitely teaching me how to use resources to become a really good leader. So
Is
yeah.
your program online, hybrid, or is
Yeah.
it in person?
Thank goodness it's online, but at the same time, you had to put all the time into being online. So it's
Mhm.
it's kicking me a little bit because I'm like, oh, I have to actually sit in front of this computer and do my work. Otherwise, it's not going to be get done. Like I can't just go out to class and sit there and listen to my teacher. I have to
Yes.
research what my teacher said and find all my information. So, yeah,
It sounds
blessings.
like is that harder? It sounds
Yeah,
like are you
it
saying that
sounds
might
like
be a little bit more challenging?
it's a little bit more challenging
Takes
to
more
me.
discipline?
Yes, I have to be more disciplined and I have to be more focused. And obviously,
Mhm.
my focus is split a couple different ways right now. So I'm having a very hard time trying to be like, okay, let's turn the brain off on this because you have to turn the brain up on that. And it's a little
Mhm.
bit more exhausting, but I'm
Yes.
I'm doing as best that I can. And I thankfully have weekly meetings with my mentor from the
Mhm.
program, and she helps me kind of re-guide myself and either put a light under my rear end or making
Mhm.
sure that I'm staying on task with everything. So yes.
And I
Hmm.
know you said it in your bio that some things that you enjoy doing, but tell me when you have to take some self-care for Takara, what
Hmm.
do you do for self-care and to pamper yourself? Some things
Oh
that you might
yeah, sure.
truly enjoy to kind of unwind.
Yeah. For sure I like getting my nails done. I'm a girly girl when it comes to nails. So I
I
enjoy having
remember
my
that
nails
about
done.
you. I remember
Yeah.
those nails.
So that I get to see I've been seeing my same nail tech for 2+ years now. So when I see her, we are kikiing and laughing and giggling and what happened? Ooh, so we have
Okay.
a good little girl talk too. So that helps out tremendously. And then of course
Okay.
you got to get your feet done if you're getting your toes done.
That's
So
right.
I enjoy getting that done as well too to kind of pamper myself and kind of take a break. from just
Mm-hmm.
thinking too hard on everything too. I
Yeah.
really enjoy playing video games, like of all kind for the most part. So if I have a little time, even though when I get on a video game, I'm like, I should be doing my homework or I should be focusing more on the pageant work. But if I can take a little bit of a time to play a little game for a little bit, just to again detach your brain,
That's good.
those things really help me kind of pamper. And if I decide I want to do something more, then I will do it. Like okay,
Mhm.
if I need to go to sleep early, okay. If I need to take a shower or just kind of decompress by doing that, cool.
Mhm.
I have a very supportive boyfriend who, if he knows I'm stressed out, he'll step in and helps make sure I do need what I need to do too. Help me do what I need to
Mhm.
do as well too. So
That's a
I find
blessing.
different channels if I can.
That's good. And then your daughter
Yes.
that you're definitely a role model for. We're their
Thank
first
you.
teachers at home, and
Yes,
she's watching
absolutely.
you, and she's going to emulate those good parts. They'll emulate the bad parts as
Don't
well,
have the bad part.
but
Yep,
hopefully they'll
exactly.
emulate only the good stuff in what
Right.
mom is showing her.
Of course, of course.
And
She's in her preteen stage, so sometimes she's not one of my stressors, if you will, but she's one of the ones I'm like, okay, I'm gonna detach now, but I can't
okay,
detach too hard. You're my baby, so I got to make sure I get you together.
that's good. Well, good for
Hmm.
you.
Yes,
You are an excellent mom. I
thank you.
appreciate it. I remember when your little one went to camp for the first time, you were so
Yes.
nervous, along
Oh,
with some of the other moms.
yep. And then
Our
lost her
ministry
glasses.
sponsors a camp. If you all, also
Yes,
the podcast audience, well, since COVID destroyed the world, we haven't
I
did it, but
know.
we used to sponsor a camp for children. And
It was
Takara's daughter
wonderful.
came to camp. I don't know if it was for one
Yes.
year or two. It was no
I
one
think
year,
two or two. I want to say
or maybe
two.
even three, but
Maybe,
definitely two.
yeah.
In the first
Mhm.
year, it was her first time going to a residential camp. That means going
Mhm.
away for a whole week. It was her
Yep.
baby. I think she was around 9 or 10, and
Mhm.
oh boy, mama was so nervous. Mama
I
was
was,
like, "Oh," and the
I
little
was
one
so
was like, "See
nervous.
you, mom. We'll see you
Mm,
later." She
yep.
was with her little
She was
friend, and
ready.
she was ready to
Mhm.
go, and you weren't ready for her to go, but she had a wonderful time, and
Oh, she had a
I would
blast.
imagine that helped you to grow and know that I planted the right seeds in my little one. And I'll tell you,
Mhm.
and I know I've told you this before, she was one
Mhm.
of the best
Oh,
campers
thank you.
that we had
That's
that
awesome.
summer. Yes, she
Yep, you
was.
did
Her
tell
and her
me.
little friend, they were our leaders. They knew what to do.
she, she enjoyed it. I don't know. In times as kids change and like what they like and don't like, and now I'm not sure if we can get her to go to another camp unless her friends were going, right? If my friends are going, I'll go. But I don't. I'm wondering if she would want to go to another summer camp. I would love her to go to experience. It in a different light now. You change and your views change as you get older and
Yeah.
adolescence and things like that too. So I would love her to go again to a camp and see. I know they still have some of the camps. I think they started last year and they're still doing
Yes.
some more camps this year too. So I might
Mhm.
have to look into getting her signed up for a week or so. Maybe forcing her out the door and say, go, go.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
I appreciate you trusting our ministry
Oh, for
to
sure.
actually have your baby come
Oh,
to the
yes.
camp. That said a lot and
Yes.
spoke volumes. You and all
Oh,
the other parents for the first time that were sending their children away to
hmm.
camp. It spoke
Yes.
volumes of
Well,
you
you
all
did a really
as
good job.
parents.
You did a
Mhm,
wonderful job too, explaining how
mhm.
everything was going to go. And I know all the other moms I still sometimes keep in contact with they said, oh, Dr. Robinson is just so great. And so we felt super safe and comfortable saying, yeah, okay, you can go to camp. All right, they'll be
Mhm.
there
And
too,
I felt
making
like
sure
their
that.
mom. I
Yes.
like the mama bear all the I was like, I have all
Hmm.
these like 30 kids. I have all these
Yes.
kids.
That's a lot of stress. There's a lot of
I was so
responsibilities.
protective of them too. I was just loving it.
But
I
you and
tell you.
Dr. Curtis handled it with just great strides. You guys did so well, even with the
Oh, geez.
challenges that you had. You guys were always able to make sure you handle it with very good professionalism. So it was very
Well,
appreciated on this side as a parent.
well, thank you, Takara.
Hmm.
Is there
Yeah.
anything else that you want to share with our podcast audience that you hadn't
Oh,
shared before we
let's see.
transition to a close?
Sure. I mean, we overdid a big overview about all the different assistance programs that's there and how financial toxicity in healthcare it exists and it still exists. And even after I get off this podcast and go to work next week, it's still going to
Mhm,
keep going. But at least
mhm,
knowing that there's different avenues and different support and different ways that you can possibly ask, even in a smaller setting, like you don't have to be a cancer patient to find support and options for you too. So
mhm.
just maybe keep researching, excuse me, and finding resources or asking at your provider's office, seeing like, hey, is there something that I can find that helps me out with this financially? They might
Hmm.
even have coupons behind their desk, and you never know. So
That's right.
I think just maybe just learning how, like, I don't have to, maybe, do I have to pay $300 when I go to the pharmacy? Like, who should I call? That
Hmm.
sometimes helps out and can open the doors to say like, oh yeah, okay, I guess I didn't have to pay that. I found a copay card. Somebody helped me. So
That's good.
um, on those topics, that's really it. I mean, yeah, and everybody come support the Miss Full Figured
That's right.
USA Michigan contest. I'll
Once
put for
again,
sure the
yes, once again, support Takara as she
yes,
gets her crown and her jewels. And
yes,
she's going to once again give a shout out to how they can actually support you financially for the Miss Full Figured competition.
yes, for sure. There, I'll put my GoFundMe link in there so that you could find me if you are or looking up GoFundMe as we're talking. I know if you typed in "help Takara compete in Miss Full Figured," that's the tagline in my actual GoFundMe. So if you
Mhm.
found that, then you would find me that way. But I will make sure that I PayPal my all of my different information so that if anybody doesn't want to do a GoFundMe, you can send it electronically that way as well too. Or just show
Yes.
up to the actual pageant to support and say, "Hey, I heard the podcast. I saw her.
Mhm.
Okay, there she is." I would appreciate
Yes.
it as well.
Yes, we'd appreciate that. It's for a good
Yes,
cause, a good cause.
yes.
And so thank you so much for being our
Thank
special
you.
guest this evening on the Lotus Flower podcast. I was so excited when you said yes.
Oh, I'm so excited you asked me. I was like, wow, like I didn't even think I wouldn't think I would ever be able to do this. So it really it stretched me and helped me out on my journey as well too. So I thank you for asking me to be a part of your podcast. It's been an honor.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Do you mind if I'd ask if you might close us out in prayer this
Oh,
evening?
sure. Yeah,
And when you do
absolutely.
close us out in prayer, I want you to say a special prayer for those patients that you're working with and all of the people that in our entire world that come into contact with, a cancer diagnosis. I've had several loved ones, including a brother and a
Mm,
first cousin that was like a sister that
sure.
passed away from cancer a couple of years back.
I'm so
So
sorry
just
to
go
hear that.
ahead and close us in prayer and just
Yeah.
remember those people. And thank you once again, Takara.
Thank
I love
you.
you with the love of the Lord.
Oh, I love you with the love of the Lord too.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right. Thank you. Father God, we come to you now and we ask that you watch over all the listeners out there, God. Let this podcast touch their hearts, minds, body, and spirits. We ask right now that you, as we close out, I pray for Dr. Robinson, Dr. Pamela, and Dr. Curtis, Lord. Keep them, keep their minds, keep their bodies, and keep their families safe, Lord. Ask for protection over them, God, and continue to let them grow in their ministry and in their work that they're doing in the community, God. I ask that you just continue to instill them with just their grace and their mercy. And I ask that the families out there who are dealing with cancer and cancer patient or a cancer family member, anything that's resolving or involving cancer, God, that you just watch over them, that you just protect them, protect their minds, their bodies, God. Give them the strength daily to continue on and fight as becoming a survivor of and becoming a part of a survivor's community, God. And I just ask you right now that, as we close out this program, God, that you protect everyone that's listening and continue on and blessing everyone. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah.
Takara Cannon, thank you so much for being our special guest this evening.
Thank
The
you.
episode title, once again, Financial Toxicity in Healthcare. Have a
Yes.
blessed evening.
Yes. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye bye for now.
Bye bye.
Are you looking for a friendly place to purchase your beauty supplies and hair supplies for the entire family? Well, you found the right place. Cali Beauty Supply, located at 1614 West Main Street in Kalamazoo, Michigan. They offer outstanding customer service and believe deeply in giving back to their community. Mo El Katabi is the owner. Customers can shop in the store or online. Curbside pickup is also available. They also have a full-service salon inside of the business called Stephanie Renee's Salon. Be sure to check them out as well. You may reach the store for your online purchases via their website at www.calibeauty.com. Their hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The business prides itself with the following motto: where beauty gets done. Are you looking for unique, fun, fashionable clothing at a fraction of the cost? Then you've got to check out Jasmine's Fun Fashions. Jasmine's Fun Fashions is a locally owned mother-daughter consignment boutique located in the beautiful town of Morganton, North Carolina. They have over 14 years of consignment, fashion apparel purchase, and retail experience and pride themselves in providing excellent customer service as well as establishing long-lasting friendships with consignors and customers. Reach out and shop with them online via their website, jazzybiz24.7@gmail.com. However, if you're ever in the Morganton, North Carolina area, be sure to stop in the store, which is located at 304 Burkmount Avenue in Morganton, North Carolina, 28655. You may also call the store to inquire about merchandise at 828-544-5187. Their hours of operation are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They serve their customers with the motto of excellent customer service and friendship. Be sure to contact Rock Dimensional Consulting, LLC, where Dr. Keetra L. Davenport King is the proprietor and business consultant. Located in the beautiful Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area, her services are available nationwide online. The Rock Dimensional Consulting, LLC firm's mission is to build businesses on a solid foundation and equip leaders. RDC helps business leaders solve complex business problems, improve efficiency, empower teams, and implement long-term sustainable improvements. The hours of operation are 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You may contact Dr. Davenport King via phone at 940-227-1615. The website is at www.lifeafterag.org and email them at rockdimensionalconsulting@gmail.com. Dr. Keetra Davenport King's business prides herself on the following motto: building businesses on a solid foundation.
He Reigns Magazine, inspiring, impacting, and reflecting the magazine industry. Founder Tayo Adidije. Are you looking for an enjoyable magazine reading experience online and in print? Well, search no more. He Reigns Gospel Magazine produces a quarterly Christian publication in the city of Kalamazoo and now throughout the world. They have revamped their approach to advertising, which now includes digital content. So this means that you can purchase He Reigns Magazine online today at www.hereigsmagazine.com. Also, the print magazine is available at several grocery stores and news outlets in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Stay connected and stay informed. He Reigns Magazine. You may reach Tayo Adidije at the following contact information: by phone at 269-598-2778, via email at hereings06292006@gmail.com, or via his website at www.hereingsmagazine.com. Be sure to reach out to the proprietors of the Lotus Flower podcast and purchase some of their products. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us once again for the Lotus Flower Podcast. It is the flower that blooms in adversity that is the greatest of them all. That is a quote from Mulan, the motion picture. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Lotus Flower Podcast. And if you are interested in purchasing a business ad, an ad for your church, or a personal ad on the Lotus Flower Podcast, please reach out to us at emerginghope@gmail.com and you will save 10% off the first purchase of your monthly ad. Once again, thank you for joining us today for the Lotus Flower Podcast.